delay, people, but we're back. Yeah, Arteta's had his press conference, and well, I've just clicked something and it's all gone. But yeah, we're back, and obviously they've clipped it up, and he's had a lot to say. So let's jump into this first bit because this is what caught my eye first. Arteta on Lacazette, Balogun, Barcelona, and more people. As you know, he held his press conference ahead of our game against Burnley on Saturday, I believe. People, on what he needs from his squad at a crucial point in the season. First of all, is that we maintain the togetherness that we have among the group, that everybody feels important and valued. Then obviously raise the level individually because that is going to improve every position. And when that happens, we will have good performances, and the better we play, the better results we'll have. On keeping the energy of the group high, he said, I try to keep everyone engaged, feeling important, and that they are going to be key for our success in the last few months. That's what I tell you, lot, why we need the whole squad. The contribution you can have, whether you play a minute, whether you're on the bench, or whether you start the game, for me, are equally as important, because in the last few months, when fatigue comes in, substitutions are key and rotation is key. And when you have the opportunity, you cannot demand, I need 4 or 5 games now to perform. You need to immediately, and you have to maximize the minutes you get on the pitch. If only that was kept for everybody, but generally, fully facts, Arteta, makes sense. In relation to facing Burnley, he said it's a really tough match. I think it's remarkable what the club, Sean, and the coaching staff have done with the resources that they have, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to bore you lot with that, you know. And again, he spoke about, again, how we played against them with 10 men, how we lost on a set piece. These are things to learn from for the next game, people. So I'm not going to bore you with that. But Arteta did say in relation to us getting top 4, well, the aim is to go on and beat Burnley. We've been chasing a top 4 place for a while, but it's not in our hands. The only thing we can control is our results and performances. And this is what I keep saying this, like, we're in our control of our own destiny, people. We are fully determined to do that better than what we have done in the past 8 months. So again, time will tell. I heard we learned our lessons from Olympiacos and we just about got through against Benfica. So time will tell. And ironically, time will tell if we actually, we've got Olympiacos. So time will tell if we can do our thing in that game. Time will tell if we're ready to learn from the past 8 months. Apparently, Smith Rowe had a scan. It doesn't look like a significant injury, but he did have discomfort, and he's obviously gone on to talk about everybody should be okay, people. Obviously, Smith Rowe's going to have a couple of days to rest that. On getting results and performances, we have seen that more consistently now since Boxing Day. Even though we have lost some games we probably should not lose, but that's football. If you lose a game, you deserve to lose at some point. You've done something to not get the result. The ref could have done something. You could have feel hard done by, but accountability. I think the way the team is playing, there are a lot of improvements, but again, there are so many things that can still get better. Even at Leicester, having total control of the game, but we still gave them 2 big chances. Facts. One, they scored, and another, we gave the ball to Vardy to almost score. When you make it 2-0 in this league, you make it so hard for yourself, and it's true that the team had a great reaction. They played well and deserved to win the game, but there are many things still to do better at. True. He spoke about leaving players out. We know we've got a large squad and things like that. On if there's talk of reaching the top 4, I'd assume among the players, people, he said, of course there is, because that's the aim and that is where we want to take the club back to. We've been out of it for the last few seasons, but our eyes are always there. If it was, we wouldn't play how we do sometimes, big man, with all due respect. It is true that it doesn't depend on us, and when that happens, we have to rely on other people, and that's never good. So we've got to do what we have to do first. I'm sure if we do what we have to do, we'll be in a much better position to see where we are with the last 4 or 5 games. So, yeah, that's all you can do at this moment in time. In relation to the summer, he said, we will see. We are planning what's going to happen in the summer. It will depend on where we finish, how we finish off. If we don't get Europe, we're in problems. If we don't get the sort of money according to where you finish in the league, we're in problems. He said, I think what we had to do in December is unprecedented for a club of this stature, of course, with all the speeding up contracts. To do the amount of transactions that we had to make tells you where we are, which is true. I think it was very much needed, and you want to improve, you want to do that. It's where you have things in the house and you believe that you can improve on it. Externally, acquiring players to go to the next level. Everything is planned. Let's see what the market can bring and what the last few months can do to the club. Let's see. On the possibility of not playing any football next season, he said, yes, at the moment, it's not a possibility. It's our reality. We have to be judged on that. I think it's a fair judgment when people do it. So it's true. He obviously wants the fans to play. He spoke about Lacazette. He said he's got a contract with us. He's playing really well. He played really well the other week. It's exactly what we demand him to do. I'm really happy with him, and the discussions about his contract will happen soon, and we'll see what's happens. So again, I personally feel the lack of initial talk has been deafening. Maybe with Lacazette's form, that's flipped it on his head. I think probably both parties will come to a decision to either let him move this summer or walk away on a free. Well, on Arkston, if he'll stay, he said, well, I'm hoping that a player under the contract will continue with us. Every case is different, and we're going to assess and we'll make a decision in relation to that. So he hasn't said he wanted him gone, but he hasn't said, no, I want Lacazette to stay. When you look at the language kind of initially over Balogun, over Aubameyang, and definitely over Bukayo Saka, it was kind of that. He's speaking unnecessary things about City, so I won't bore you with that. We know Burnley's a horrible team to play against. He quashed Barcelona speculation. He said there's always going to be speculation when there are elections in Barcelona. It's a huge team. Obviously, I was raised there as a player. They're always going to be linked. I'm really focused on the job that I have to do. We have a lot to do. I'm really enjoying it. He didn't say no. He said, today and tomorrow, I'm the manager of Arsenal Football Club, and I'm really enjoying it. I want to do much better than what we've done. Contract negotiations haven't started. On whether he'd like to get that sorted in the summer, he said, we're in the middle of the season. We have a lot to play for. And at the moment, it's not a priority. It's not a priority because you're not doing the business collectively. So that's true. That's okay. I still have a contract here and I'm happy. I don't think that is something urgent. On Arkston, man said Lacazette, Eddie Nketiah's lack of minutes, people, he said, well, when we're talking about management, this is one of the hazards to leave someone like Eddie out of the squad. But at the moment, everyone has been fit and we have so many options up front. But it hurts as well because of how Eddie behaves and trains every day and because he's a player from our academy. Well, Eddie used to get into the squad regardless of who was fit. So I'd say Eddie needs to ask himself what, again, it might not be Eddie. It's probably to do with how better the players are playing, but players are performing, players are Eddie got into this. Eddie was holding Lacazette out of the starting 11. So in Arteta's thinking, whether we rate him or not, he's done something in his thinking to start games. So there's something that's left Eddie Nketiah's game. So this is the harsh reality of football. When you want to stay at a club and not go on loan, and it looks all her courageous and that last season, but this is the reality. He didn't take his opportunity, so he's not playing. As much as I love Reiss Nelson, Nelson got minimal opportunities, but it's a mixture of whatever the manager is saying you're not doing and other men are. So it's peak. It's as simple as that. This is the harsh reality of football. It's as simple as that. And it's obviously going to hurt Eddie Nketiah to hear there's many options up front, but he's got to think why. In a positive way, I'll take that. I would take the following 4 words, sorry. In fact, 6. The fact that he'd say that, and I'm one of the only recognized striker in your 11 like that. I mean, in your 25-man squad like that, because Aubameyang's used on the left as well as up front. I'd take that personally. So yeah. He said, but he will have his chance. He needs to be patient, and he's showing no signs of lacking attitude or anything like that. It's the complete opposite. He's a joy to work with, and he deserves minutes, and he doesn't get it. It's just my fault. It's the reality. Aubameyang, Lacazette, all them, man, they are playing better, so it is what it is. Obviously, a lack of minutes can hurt his development, but we have to be real at some point, and this is coming from someone who probably loves young players in our team more than others. Not on a funny thing. At some point, we need to decide, are we doing the youngster thing, the farm thing, developing players for no reason, or are we trying to win? This is the reality, It's all fun and games Saka playing, and I'm not using this to critique Eddie, but Saka plays because he can do the job. It's not because he's young anymore. He's doing the job. At some point, this is how ruthless football is. Nobody cares. You're doing the job. Make sure you can do that. And of course, it's going to hurt his development, but he could have left on loan and played significantly. He backed himself. So now he's got to back himself to the end because there's nothing that he can do until next year. He said, yeah, because he needs to play and we've been wanting to use him a little bit more on some occasions and we didn't. To be fair, when he's played really well. But at his age and for what he's done the last 2 or 3 seasons, he needs more minutes. It's something we have to talk about openly and make the right decision. So you either have to leave with a year left on your deal, sign a deal, go out on loan. Hopefully there's some development there, or cut ties, people. On William Saliba and obviously Balogun, people. On Saliba, he said, we're having meetings very often to assess what they're doing. And obviously, we're getting all the information and watching their games because I want to keep a very close eye on what they're doing. So do I. That's why I make the loan reports. Please make sure you're checking out the loan report. Shameless plug, people. Big up Chris as well. He's got the main summaries from the press conference, and he works for Football London, as you know. Smith Rowe's injury doesn't look significant. We've spoken about Laka and the rest. So yeah, big up Chris. But if we scroll up a bit, people, I mean, hopefully it's still there. He plugged the guy. There we go, people. He retweeted my loan report, so make sure you take that one in. And he also gave it a positive message, people. So we're building in the world. Big up Chris for that plug. He didn't have to do that, so I appreciate you, Chris. But yeah, going back to actually what we need to speak about, getting back to it, people. You know, I hope he's watching my watch alongs and loan reports and things like that. But realistically, that shouldn't be newsworthy for us, because again, it's like last year, people. You know, if you watched Saliba, you could see that he wasn't necessarily ready. He wasn't not ready, but he weren't ready to play week in, week out. So when I'm hearing that you're talking with Ben Napier and seeing the development path, and then you're going to see him in pre-season, I want to see decisions made early. I don't want a repeat of what happened with Saliba to the end of last year. And again, this is why I ask fans to watch the games, because Saliba, even go and watch the loan report. He played quite well against Rennes, but he made a costly error. So, you know, and there's been several other incidences. So it's nice to hear that, people. I also think Mavropanos, I don't know if he's spoken about him, but I think he deserves a chance for Arteta to at least have a chance, see what he's on in pre-season. I don't think Arteta's going to throw his hat on both Saliba and Mavropanos consistently, as well as having a young sort of Gabriel. And whatnot. That's what I personally think we're probably going to move for a right-sided centre half. But like he said, people, we were talking yesterday, for example, with Ben Napier, who is our loan manager, who is in charge of monitoring everything we are doing, and we're in contact with the players. That's nice for Saliba. Let's see. It's good news that they are playing. It's good news that they have the possibility to have a lot of minutes. That's going to give us a much better perception of where they are and how we can use them, which is true. On Balogun, people, he said Balogun distancing himself from the club. Personally, I'm quite tired of speaking about Balogun, and I know he deleted every possible thing he could of Arsenal that was Arsenal related on his Instagram. Listen, Balogun might go off to become the next, you know, who's a young shot, English Kylian Mbappe. He might not. I think he's got a lot of potential, but I'm tired. A lot of circus has been made over a man that's barely played 90 minutes for our football club. I believe in him, but I'm tired of this. If he wants to stay, cool. If he wants to go, it is what it is. Keep it moving. I do think the language has changed just by speed reading this, though. He said, I wouldn't say so. I think I'm pretty positive about it. And every time I spoke to him, he mentions the same thing, that he's determined to stay here and he wants to stay here. Well, you're going to say the same. You're going to tell him that he's going to get his opportunities. He's going to tell you that he wants to stay. I'm sure both of them are true, but there's also a sort of white lie in that Balogun wants to stay. I'm sure his agents will say to him, if there's another opportunity, you got to keep it moving. I'm sure Arteta wants him to stay, but there's got to be a reason away from the contract stuff as to why he hasn't played in the league and stuff like that. So is what it is. He has said we've had some really positive conversations with his agent as well, and Edu is in charge of that now. We already know Edu's in charge of that, but that's where it's already indirectly it's become now. I'm moving away from being involved in this. It's with Edu, and Edu might not have that personal relationship with Balogun or see Balogun in the way that Arteta might, so you could see the end of the beginning. He said he's been spending a lot of time and energy to make that deal happen because it's important for us to keep our talent in-house. And what we can guarantee is that we're doing everything we can to keep him. So again, we've said we're doing everything we can to keep him. We've said the man in charge is doing everything we can to keep him. We said there's talks. So again, we're going to be able to look back and say that we've allegedly tried, but I think it's the beginning of the end, people. On whether Southgate has spoken about Saka and Smith Rowe to him, he said, no, not directly, but obviously we know the staff and we know how they're looking at them. We're extremely proud. We're extremely happy and proud that they can be used with England, because that means we can provide some talent that's come through our academy. And I think there's nothing better for us than that. That's facts, people.